Dr. Pepper truly is the intellectual drink for the chosen ones. It's great for washing down pills, too. Do you want any, Saya? You know, a simple no would have sufficed. If there's one genre that I just think is neat, it's visual novels. Sure, it's pretty much just reading, but some of them even have gameplay, too.
The Ace Attorney or Danganronpa games are definitely VNs, but there's tons of interaction, so it feels more like a game and less like a choose-your-own-adventure book. Others like Steins Gate or Kara no Sojo's only real gameplay elements are trying to figure out how to get the stupid fucking endings. Oh man, you better not inspect the bookshelf before the desk or else you're locked out of the true ending. That's real by the way. Can you believe they did that? Also, I just need to note that I forgot the name of the game and I found it by googling egg visual novel. Nice. But before we get started, remember to subscribe to the channel for more content in the future.
We are on our way to 1 trillion subscribers very slowly, and I know you want to be a part of that, so remember to smash that subscribe button, smash the like button, smash the comment section, smash your mom. We're also gonna play this video with my girlfriend Saya. Say hello, Saya. She's such a dear, isn't she? You know, she's so funny. When we met at the ward, and she was like, "No, don't put me in the cage. I am a meat monster." And I said, "Meat monster?" I don't even get it, but it's pretty funny, huh? But anyway, let's get into the game.
Saya no Uta is a horror eroge fueled by the mind of Ganurabuchi, Lovecraft, and depression. A match made in heaven. It's what you might call a high-concept game. That concept being the question of what would happen if the world was meat. Yeah, it's a strange question, and I know a lot of people probably haven't asked themselves that, but you know, I've had similar ideas before. I once spent the entire lunch period at school talking at length with some friends about what it would be like if you cried bagels. I mean, it would probably hurt, right? Pushing a bagel out of your tear ducts? That being said, a high concept like this isn't really good for an extended look at. I can't imagine anyone would watch 16 seasons of Crying Bagels, the TV show, but you might watch like a short YouTube video about it. In a similar way, the world appearing as meat isn't really that deep of a concept, so unlike a lot of visual novels, Saya no Uta actually has an extremely short length, coming in at just over 4 hours if you are a halfway proficient reader, though virtually infinite if you can't read. The game is lean, but in a good way. It knows its concept is absurd and it spends just as much time as it needs to establish all of its different elements, world mechanics, characters, and story. Fuminori is our main character here, a victim of a car accident that was saved by using an experimental treatment, leaving him with the unfortunate side effect of seeing everything as meat, and not like a nice, tasty filet mignon. More like rotting meat. It's pretty gross, to be honest. This extends to his other senses too. Everything looks like rotting meat, tastes like rotting meat, and it somehow even sounds like rotting meat. I'm not exactly sure how that one works, but if rotting meat could talk, it would probably sound a lot like this. It's marvelous. But that's our concept. A man who sees the world as a monstrosity. Truly an unfortunate situation. I don't think we really think about it on a day-to-day basis, but you gain most of your pleasure from your senses. The sight of the sunrise, the smell carried on the breeze from your local coffee shop, the sound of music. Now imagine yourself losing all of those things and having them be replaced by the polar opposite, a world where everything is disturbing to the senses and wrong. I think most people would go crazy, and that's where we begin with Fuminori. By the beginning of our story, he essentially has gone crazy. He has adapted to live in this world while trying to present himself as perfectly fine. He spends time with his old friends even though they disgust him. He still goes to school even though it probably won't be much use to him while he's in this state. The only thing he lives for now is Saya. Saya is the only thing that appears normal to him. His lighthouse to his ship lost at sea. Of course Saya is the only thing he lives for. No matter who or what Saya really is, she is the only thing that can bring him any sort of pleasure or sensual relief. But it quickly becomes apparent to us as players that she's not what she appears to be. For if the normal world appears twisted to him, then what could be twisted enough for him to see as normal? I appreciate how the game never really gets into the mechanics of how all this works. Really, it's just described as some procedure with unfortunate side effects. In the beginning, there's even a message that says it's not based on real medical science. Like, oh man, really? I thought this was real. But honestly, it's great because 1, it's not realistic, and 2, we just don't need a lot of details on it. I think a lot of other games may fall into the pitfall of trying to explain some completely absurd concept and trying to pass it off as real, but Saya no Uta says, fuck you, he sees meat. Contrary to what you might think, the more vague the explanations are, the more believable it is. These early game sections are great. Saya no Uta structures its first half as more of an informational section without feeling boring or overwhelming. It feels like we're getting caught up to speed with a world that's already been lived in, like a title crawl to a Star Wars movie. One of the good ones, at least. Besides Fuminori, we also learn about his group of friends, who actually take a large role in the story despite their introduction as meat monsters. We meet his best friend Koji and Koji's girlfriend Omi, and also Yo. We learn a lot of things in these early sections. How Saya met Fuminori, Yo's romantic feelings for Fuminori. We're introduced to Fuminori's doctor, who plays a large part later in the story, and about the search for Saya's father. The story really starts moving forward with the first major event being Yo addressing her feelings with Fuminori. To say her feelings are rejected is an understatement. This is the verbal beatdown of the century, and I think if someone had the inclination to throw Fuminori a steel chair, he probably would have used that too. At this point, we're still moderately sympathetic to Fuminori because of his condition, but I think this may be the point where some people change their minds. It turns out that Koji and Omi are listening from the bushes, and the treatment towards Yo is enough to set Omi off. Omi attempts to visit Fuminori at his house, but is met with an unsettling sight. The art is unkept, the shutters all closed, and a smell of rotting meat wafting in the air. Like a moth to a flame, or more appropriate, an idiot teenager in a horror movie, she enters the house. Upon being greeted by the horrible gargling of Saya, she loses all her anger, but still explores the house in spite of herself. And then, Saya. When Fuminori returns home, he arrives to Saya eating something. The game describes it as fruit, but the CGs definitely show slime, so I'll just call it slime. Fuminori eats some and is amazed. This is the best thing he's had since all his senses changed, though he doesn't actually know it's Omi. A little later, Saya returns home from a late night exploring the hospital Fuminori was staying at, with a huge pile of records, claiming she can fix Fuminori with enough info. And who better to test out her new procedure than on the annoying neighbor Yosuke? The operation is a success, but upon seeing the world as a meat monstrosity and being confronted with his family newly appearing as meat monsters, Yosuke goes crazy and kills his family, and then he sexually assaults Saya. Fuminori then turns on Yosuke in a fit of anger and kills him. And here's where it gets interesting. Saya presents us, Fuminori and the player, with a choice. Go back to normal, or continue living in this world. The game is short on length, but it's also short on choices. There are only 2 points where the story splits, and this is the first. And honestly, this choice is basically brilliant. Up to this point, Fuminori has been an unwilling participant in this world. He only cares about Saya, because who else could he really care about? We can even excuse a lot of his behavior. He's a jerk? His world is literally rotting meat. He killed someone? Well, it was in defense of Saya. Even eating Omi, cannibalism, pretty gross, but it's not like he really knew it was her. But here is where the game forces him and also us to choose. It gives both of us agency. Do you want your old life back and world back, or will you forsake that world completely for Saya? Now, you can opt out. If you choose to go back to normal, Fuminori gets sent to a mental hospital for the rest of his life, but he does get his world back. But if you want to see just how deep this rabbit hole goes, then you can stay in this world with Saya. This choice is brilliant because it gives Fuminori some real agency and motivation in the story, and provides us, the player, with a chance to consent to all the crazy shit that escalates from here. And it does escalate quite a bit from here.
But if you want to know more, you're just gonna have to play it yourself. Or you could look up somewhere online, I guess. I can't stop you, but I would recommend playing it. It's so good, it's getting the channel's first Court of Lord Joe official a seal of approve cool. I'm still workshopping the name. It's not very good. There's still a few more things I want to talk about though. But actually, first I have to take my schizo pills. That's not offensive. That's what they're called. They're called schizo pills. They're for my schizoness. Stupid. I'm running low though. Hey, Saya, did you order any more? Saya, we talked about this. Can you enunciate? You know what? We're moving on.
I really like the visuals in this game. All the characters are sufficiently expressive for what they need to be and are designed with some sort of intention in mind. Fuminori's friends look like normal college kids. Saya looks like a playful, mischievous little girl with an evil side and some faux horns. And Fuminori looks like he's gonna tell you not to go to school tomorrow. I also really like the CGs in this game, though I could definitely see some people being less impressed with them. While the CGs do what they need to for each scene, they don't really work as one cohesive art style. Some look like carefully drawn pictures, while others look like some janky-ass computer game from the 90s, and still others are clearly photographs with a filter put over them. There are even some CGs that are completely redrawn depending on what level of censorship you're using. I think they all do what they need to do though, and honestly, visual novels, and especially this game, aren't really known for having very high budgets, so I'm more or less fine with the incohesion.
Some people may call it an objective flaw, but I call it soul.
The music is also great. If you're familiar with visual novels, you know most games tend to have songs that are used for different moods. You have the happy, everyday theme, the sad theme, the intense pressure or drama theme. Those songs that I just put on were all from different games, by the way, but I bet you couldn't tell unless you're visual novel savvy. It's not really a problem, and hey, I believe there's a reason that tropes are tropes, but Saya no Uta's soundtrack definitely doesn't fit into these archetypes. Saya no Uta has a maddening soundtrack, with many of the songs featuring heavy instruments and tons of distortion that I would describe as disorienting. That isn't to say all of them do that though. There are plenty of other songs in the game that can be calm and soothing. Cleverly, the game tends to divide its songs up between the current world view, with more of the calming songs being used for parts that take place in the real world, and the heavier, more disturbing songs being used when the game is taking place from either Fuminori's perspective or the parts of the game that are related to Fuminori and Saya. My favorite song on the soundtrack, Song of Saya 2, is not just a joy to listen to, but also paints a really interesting picture. The song has a disorienting whining in the background, which is mostly drowned out by the music in the foreground and a female voice, essentially forming a parallel with how Fuminori deals with the world. Though the world may be a horrible and grating experience, he uses Saya to try and drown out all that he can and takes comfort in her song. I guess that's why the game is called Song of Saya.
Shoot, I need to take my pills. Ah, crap. Hey, Saya, did you... Saya! Saya! No! You can't do this to me! You can't leave me! You're the only thing I love in the world! I still can't understand you. Why was I crying? Oh, sweet, a free steak! You know, this is pretty good. But the cream filling is an odd touch.
What the fuck? They made a comic? It's like not even a manga, it's a comic? What the fuck? Someone was going to make a movie? Actually, you know what? This would probably make a pretty good movie. Hopefully, this is Illumination's next project after the success of the Mario movie. Make it happen, guys.